Jeannie Goodnow. Delighted to have both of you here.
Thank you.
Freddie, tell us how this all got started.
Well, in 1982, we were at a church, and my wife and I, Mary Alice Carnes, were song leaders and involved in the music program. We had always loved the show Godspell, and we always wanted to produce a production of it, and we finally got an opportunity at this church to do it. And we did 2 performances. We charged something like $2.50 to come see it, but we had a packed house, and it was the most moving experience I'd ever had in my life. And just seeing the way that the audience responded to the material, in particular the death of Jesus in Godspell, and just the comments that we got afterwards, that people just found it so moving that we were able to perform something like this. It was entertaining, it was fun for the whole family, and in the sanctuary of a church. It really got us thinking, and over a period of several years we began talking about trying to form our own company.
When did that happen?
In 1987 we finally formed Children of Light Players, had our first performance at a church in South Austin, and had 400 people show up for our first performance, and that was March 9th, 1987.
So you're celebrating your anniversary not too long ago.
Just had our anniversary, our 8th anniversary.
Well, Austin Faith Dialogue has been on that same period of time, so we share that gladness with you.
Great.
We'd like to also, Jeannie, tell us a little bit about how you came on board.
Well, I arrived in Austin not too long ago and started auditioning around the different theaters, and my first job was for the Children of Light Players in November, where I did a community show, not a religious show, called Around the World, where we took the children around the world and showed them the different cultures. And since I've done the Christmas show and then finally the sheep show.
Yeah. Now the sheep show we're talking
Right.
about is one that you happened to produce so that we might get a little bit of a glimpse of that on our program this morning. Why don't we have you just tell us where this was and how that is to lay out before us here.
Okay. This is one of the children's religious shows that we tour around to the churches. It's called Feed My Sheep, and it's the story of a sheep played by Jeannie who gets lost and finally is found by Jesus. And so we were doing a performance at First Baptist Church, and just recently, and you came out and taped a segment of it, so I think we're going to see a segment where a wolf finds the sheep.
Okay, well let's, you've whetted our appetite, let's take a look at it now. Okay, well, we've got a little bit of a threatening situation, it looks like there. And you were doing this as one of the segments from the Bible, a story from the Bible.
Yes.
And trying to put it at a level that the children could understand and respond to.
Exactly. I think that one of the things that we've really learned about children's theater, you have to make it very visual for them. I think that's the way they remember stories. If you can show them the wolf, if you can show them Jesus, if you can show them a sheep, then they relate to it. And then when you add music to that, then it kind of brings it to another level. And we've had very good response from children by developing these shows that deal with the visual aspect of a story.
Right. And I think that you were saying before, Jeannie, you had some other, besides, you're not just playing sheep parts these days.
No.
And you told me about something that you did at Christmas time.
At Christmas time, I was an elf in Santa's workshop, and I was a rebel elf. I didn't want to make any toys. I was tired of making toys. I'd had enough of it. Santa Claus, I went on strike. I was really tired of the whole thing. And then we went back and learned the meaning of Christmas and what it's really all about. It's not about making toys. It's about bringing joy and love to others.
Right.
So I had to turn around.
She was a wonderful New York elf.
Yeah, I sense that accent there. And you're writing your own stuff and presenting this?
Again, one of the things we found with our religious shows, with the children's theater, we scoured for scripts. And I found it so difficult to find good scripts. And we really started writing our own scripts because it seemed to be a lack of good scripts for the kind of theater we wanted to do. So, but it's been very successful. I write all the music for the shows, and we've had great response to the shows.
Okay, tell us about some of the places that you performed.
Oh, in terms of churches, First Baptist, now Central Presbyterian. I just did a show at St. John Newman last week, Abiding Love Lutheran, First English Lutheran, St. Austin's. I just did one yesterday at Hyde Park Baptist Elementary. You know, just about every denomination all over the Central Texas area, and I've performed everywhere from next to pool tables and Coke machines trying to do a dramatic monologue, all the way to wonderful sanctuaries, some of the best sanctuaries I've ever seen, that when you walk out onto next to the altar, you feel like you're on a stage.
Yeah, so it's kind of from the sublime to the ridiculous.
Exactly. There was one when I was talking about the performing next to a pool table, that happened. I was doing my Judas monologue, and we had fluorescent lights, and it was a youth group that had just gotten through running around, and so you get quite a few interesting circumstances to try to perform in.
Well, now, you don't do exclusively children's programming, though?
No. As a matter of fact, some of our most popular shows are, the most popular show is called The Betrayal. And this is one about Judas, and it's a very, very dramatic monologue.
In the second half, I'm going to have you do a little bit of that, just to share with our viewers something of your spirit. And you also do work outside the churches?
Yes, as a matter of fact, our probably the most successful thing we have going for Children of Light right now is our shows at Hyde Park Theater. And Jeannie has done 2 of the shows that she mentioned around the world, and the Christmas show are our ongoing children's shows that we do at Hyde Park Theater, and it's been a wonderful space to work in. And this is our 2nd year doing an ongoing series there.
And what was your background? What brought you to this particular juncture in your dramatic career?
Well, I have a degree in theater. I graduated a couple of years ago from St. Mary's College, Notre Dame. And I've always been interested in children's theater. That's how I started as a child, performing for other children, and then I kind of grew into it. So I've always had a fondness for children's theater. They can be some of the most responsive and rewarding audiences.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is it, how is it different to do Freddie mentioned a little bit of something earlier, but from your standpoint, what makes it special to do children's work?
The children really believe what's going on. They haven't quite established the fact that you are an actor. They really believe, oh, that's the sheep up there, or that's the elf. Those are really elves from Santa's workshop. The kids would come up to me after the show and say, now tell Santa that I want Power Rangers, and they give me a long list that I had to deliver to Santa. It was very important. It was very real for them. And being able to take stories from the Bible and make them real for the children, I think is invaluable.
Yeah, their line between fantasy and reality is so thin that you can you can get them believing you when you're maybe not expecting for that to happen.
Exactly.
I think the other thing about children's theater is that not only will they go anywhere you take them, and one of the best examples of that was when we did our Around the World show, where we told them we're going to use a magic globe, and we're going to go to France and Germany and Saudi Arabia and India, and they went. They don't feel like, okay, I'm sitting in this theater and you're kind of entertaining me. They're going with you to these different countries and learning a little something about each one. And to me, that's real theater. That when you can use your imagination to just do anything or go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, what is it, suspending your state of...
Willing suspension of disbelief.
Say it again?
Willing suspension of disbelief.
Of disbelief.
And children have a wonderful ability
Yeah.
to do that.
And adults are meant to, but they're just a little slower
They've
in coming back.
forgotten how. Many of them have forgotten how.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the other things when we come back, I'd like to have some sense of how theater has a very special place in the church. We know that in the Middle Ages, drama was part of the liturgy oftentimes, within the sanctuary, sometimes outside, but always in a rather creative relationship to the religious community. And how that's happening today and whether it's kind of a growing phenomenon. I think maybe your success here and the play that you get on the Children of Light Players is an indication of how it is a growing spirit in that regard. But if you can just hold on for a moment.
Sure.
We're going to pause for a minute to take a break. We'll look forward to seeing you folks in just a few minutes.
Serving Austin means serving you. That has always been the primary goal of Austin Metropolitan Ministries. We are religion in action through the work of these organizations. Each plays a key role in making the capital city a better place to live, but we can't do it alone. Do you have some spare time, talents, or any resources that you can share? If you do, please call AMM at 472-7627 because serving Austin means serving you.
Welcome back to Austin Faith Dialogue. Today we are focusing upon the Children of Light Players, a dramatic troupe that's here in town, headed by Freddie Carnes and contributed to by actor, I'm not going to say actress, Jeannie Goodnow. Just before the break we were talking about the power of drama in the church and the very special place it's meant to have. And you'd indicated that you do a particular presentation on the betrayal, portraying Judas.
Yes.
And could you take 2 or 3 minutes and give us a sense of that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Just quickly to set it up, this is a script that I read about 6 years ago, and it was one that made a lot of sense to me in terms of giving Judas some reasons why he did what he did. So I'd be more than happy to do it.
Okay, well, let's just welcome to our program Judas Iscariot.
Oh, no. Not another cross. Everywhere I go, there are crosses. My mind's a cross. My heart's a cross. I never wanted any crosses. I never wanted a cross for any Jew, not for Jesus, not for anyone. I don't understand. Do you know what it's like to be a slave in your own country? Do you know what it is to have the boot of an oppressor on your throat? Do you know what it is to have your own priests and your own leaders betray you? I wanted nothing but to have all of Palestine and Jerusalem once more for God's people, Israel. Then Jesus came. He seemed to be what we were waiting for, not just for a lifetime, but for many lifetimes. Word came quickly. He was followed by Galileans, but when I, a Judean, came, he welcomed me. He said, "Come, follow me." He needed a man like me, for I was skilled in organization. Soon I became the treasurer of the group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We want to pause just long enough here. Jeannie, give us a little bit of a sense of how that affects you.
Well, I think that really can affect quite a few people in a very real way. Since we're specifically discussing children in theater, we can discuss children from all age groups. Children from the young age groups that I performed for to the older ones in high school, where they could be going through a particularly difficult period in their life. And to read about them in the Bible is one thing, but often they'll have a sense of, this is a person in history, I can't relate to it. And this kind of theater can really bring it alive for them and make it real for them and say, hey, that person's going through some similar feelings that I'm going through as well.
Make some emotional identification
Yes,
with
definitely.
that. I mean, Judas is just such a long ago and far away person for most people, but to hear a first-person recreation of that enables some empathy to take place. How do you feel about doing it?
Well, actually, when I first started performing this, and I've probably done 50 or 60 performances all over the Central Texas area, it scared me at first. Because when I started rehearsing it, I found that I was relating to the character so much that I realized that there was a lot of similarities between myself and Judas. Judas was, in this script, is very impatient. He's a very impatient person. He wants it now. Jesus doesn't understand what's going on. Judas is more knowledgeable of what's happening in the political sphere and what's happening outside of the circle of their friends. And so he's trying to convince Jesus, you know, what he should do. So I found a lot of Judas in me. And so...
what was there in you that was similar?
Being impatient, wanting it now, thinking that I know the way, not trusting God to lead me, and really learning what faith is all about, which is learning to let go. And Judas never had that ability. He always had to be in control, always had to have a sense of...
Okay. Well, that's those are issues that some of the rest of us can identify with in terms of being control freaks.
Sure. And again, I think one of the things that at the end when he talks about why he committed suicide, you know, what brought him to the moment where he finally decided to betray Jesus, are moments that we all, I think, go through.
Okay, I think that insofar as the Judas experience, as you shared it with us, gives us just a taste of it, and you broaden out from that to what it is that can happen in churches as a result of drama, not just with children, but with people of all ages. And we've said that creates a sense of identification, of people identifying themselves with the characters and finding some outlet for what it is that they're experiencing. Is there something else that's going on there that we might just put our finger on as far as what theater does either for children or for others?
I really think that one of the reasons why theater is so powerful is because it's happening right in front of you. One of the things that that seems so prevalent in this age is we are so detached from community. And to me, one of the things that happens with television, with video, with video games, particularly for children, is they find this real detachment. I think the studies that they do on the violence that television promotes is because of that detachment. One of the things that live theater and church does is give more of a sense of community.
There's a personal touch to it. Do you feel that as well?
Oh, definitely. And it does bring the whole community together. If a church wants to put on a play themselves, it's not just the actors who are involved. Everyone can contribute. It's a whole project that can bring the whole community together and bring a closeness of really accomplishing something.
One of the excuse me, one of the people we've had on our program in times past was Paul Baker, who was head of the drama department at Baylor and then later at Trinity University, and who organized the Dallas Theater Company.
Sure.
He worked with Frank Lloyd Wright on the design there. I mean, he's been in theater in significant ways over a period of time before he retired down to Welder, Texas. But he came back, he and his wife Kitty, and he was talking about having been a Presbyterian minister's son, and how he grew up in the church doing plays, and that was just part of the whole programming and lifestyle. And as years have gone by, he's appreciated more and more the community building aspect. He said that when he was in Dallas, not only with the theater center there, but with one of the high schools that was in one of the underprivileged parts of town, that students were having all kinds of problems, and he worked with school officials to import drama in more than sports. It's something that can involve both boys and girls and various ages, and that all of a sudden they began to produce national merit scholars and wound up being the leader in the city in terms of achievement. And he said the key was drama, because it gets people working together, and how to cooperate, how to play your part, either on stage or behind the scenes. And I suspect you have a little bit of the same sense of that here in Austin.
Exactly.
I think one of the ways that we get people like Jeannie coming up through learning theater, just getting experience to it, is by creating opportunities for children to perform. I think that's one area that we need to work on, definitely.
Like, what are some of those opportunities that you afford them?
As far as,
Children actually in the act?
Right. Well, a lot of the songs we do, we'll try and get the children to sing the songs with us.
I see.
So they feel as though they're a part of the production as well, that we're not just acting to them, we're acting with them.
And I think there's ways that we can actually begin to do some programs to bring in children to learn acting. And I think one of the ways, as I was saying about Jeannie, because she had opportunities in school or through other programs of actually learning acting, learning the stage work, then she now has more opportunities to actually perform professionally. And I think if we give our children more opportunities to actually learn through acting, but I think that's what Paul was onto.
I think, too, that when I saw you at First Baptist Church, after you did your presentation, you got the children in dialogue with you about it. I mean, about sheep and wolves and so on. But I think the extent to which children get in the act in any way, I know there's a group here in town called Kids Acting. We've had some of those folks on the show, and where the actors in that case are the children.
Yeah, my cousin's one of those.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But actually, I think there's a way that we could actually work within the churches and get children involved in learning acting. I would love to see some programs come up that we can, because I get requests all the time. I also teach acting, and I get requests from parents constantly. I want more opportunities for my child to perform.
I must admit we neglected to get your phone number on the screen here, but anybody wants to find out more of what you're doing can call Hyde Park
Actually, they
Theater.
can actually call our home, which is also the box office for the.
Was that right?
So anytime, and we're more than happy to talk with them about really any subject referring to theater.
Okay.
And that number is
All right.
444-7090.
Okay. 7090.
7090.
All right. And it's through the Hyde Park Theater that you do ongoing shows.
That's correct.
And if people want to actually see what you're up to, they can see
talk.
what the listings are there.
That's right. That's right.
Which is out, Hyde Park Theater, where is that located?
It's located very close to UT in the Hyde Park neighborhood, 43rd and Guadalupe. So it's now they have a nice mural on the side of the building. You can't miss it.
Right, right. Well, I think that what you've done today is give us a good sense of an important, vital role, I would call it, of theater in the Austin community. Children of Light players has got a good name. I think it's to throw light on life, and it suggests the light of the world. I'm making all kinds of associations as I've talked to you today. And I would like to say that it's been a real pleasure to have you, Freddie Carnes, here on the show today, and Jeannie Goodnow.
Thank you.
And I think that what we'd like to say to the folks who have been looking in, that as you have been inspired to learn more about this, I would encourage you to make the contact with Freddie and the Children of Light Theater in the Hyde Park Theater Complex there.
Well, thank you. And I have to add one other thing. Even though I do it, I'm the artistic director. Mary Alice Carnes is the executive director, and she has been really one of the main driving forces, and I'm sorry she couldn't be here this morning. She's taking care of one of the shows down at Hyde Park Theater this morning.
Say her name again.
Mary Alice Carnes.
A relative, I would guess.
I think so.
You and your wife were the co-founders then?
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Well, give her our best and say that we'll look forward to seeing her in one of these productions.
Great.
Next time we have you back on, we'll be sure to have her on.
Okay.
And best to you, Jeannie, and
Thank you.
as you come to Austin and expand your career.
Thank you very much.
And we appreciate your taking the role of the sheep for us. Very obedient and very plaintive. And thank you, folks, for looking in today. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next week on our next edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. I'm Richard Thompson, and peace be with you.
For more information, call Austin Metropolitan Ministries at 472-7627.